Good morning and welcome to the Boise Bus Sunday Blether, or maybe we should call it the Philbo Bus. I think that's got a good ring to it because Phil, you've taken the mantle this week, and what a job you've done looking after the podcast for Boise's on his well-deserved hollybobs. So I just want to say, before we really get started, a big thanks to you, Phil, for keeping the show running as smoothly as it could possibly go, even with some hiccups the last couple of shows. You managed. You're a pro, Phil. You're an absolute pro. You're the man of the match. You're the main man. You are the player of the year. So just a big well done to you, mate. Because it's not easy when somebody when they drop out due to connection issues, and it even took me a minute to realise that Terry wasn't even there because he just leaves us smiling at us. Like, look how happy Terry is after that result today. Turns out he'd just been staring at the camera for so long. But welcome along everybody to the Sunday Blether. This is the show where we do all the gossip, the news, the hearsay that is surrounding Celtic Football Club. And before we get started, we've got all that good stuff to get through. So hit that subscribe button, give us a like, give us a share, slag the hair or lack of hair, and hit that bell for the notifications that you know that the bus is on its way. And you can become a Boise Bus member for a small cost of $1.99. All our content is absolutely free. There's no extras added on to becoming a Boise Bus member. It's just your way of showing your support for the podcast that keeps the wheels turning on the road. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors, piesports.com. 12.5% off your tasty pastry treats, and you put bus 1888 into the checkout, and you'll get that with 12.5% off. Right, Phil, what's on the agenda today? It's been a while since I've had an agenda to throw at you because
an agenda, oof.
Or the agenda. That's not the word I'm looking for, is it?
No, agenda is the right word. Yeah,
it's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
you threw me there with that little agenda.
It does sound very very.
I've got an agenda. I have an agenda.
It can be used in different connotations. But yes, an agenda. You would use it at a meeting, for example, an agenda with all the topics you're going to cover. Yes.
And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So it's an action-packed episode that we've got for you today. You know, we're going to look at all the things that happened yesterday, what might happen today. No. Look at Liam Scales' contract. Was it deserved? Was the timing right? And of course, next season's kit is leaked. We can have a wee chat about that. And I want to talk about a guy that's leaving the club at the end of the season. That's Joe Hart. So I talk about what his experience has brought to this last campaign. And if we have time for it, Phil, I've got a wee topic that I always like to try and find that we can relate to Celtic. Mm-hmm. That's to do with this dark cloud that's coming over the Premier League, and whether they should take they're looking to try and take their league overseas to the United States. And does that bring up an uncomfortable discussion that we have around our league and the potential Glasgow derby overseas? Because believe it or not, we have a lot more US American owners in our league than I realised, Phil. And it just feels like that's where football seems to be heading, spearheaded by those money-grabbing Premier League owners. But if we've got time for that, we'll jump into that. But if not, it's not a bother. But Phil, you've been on the show for the last 4 days in a row.
Yes.
Have you got anything to say? You got anything else to say about yesterday?
I'm happy to keep talking about yesterday. No problem at all, because it was easily, I'd say, the best performance of the season. It's been, it's not wrong to say that the football this season has not been good. Let's be honest. It started okay, and then somewhere in the middle of the season, we just seemed to fall off a cliff. You know, it was like confidence was rock bottom. We seemed bereft of ideas. You know, it was like, what the hell is going on at this team? We let an 11-point lead at one because we beat St Johnstone in December, and we went 11 points in front, although I think Rangers played later that day, if I remember right. And so at one point we were 11 points ahead, and the next thing, you know, a couple of months later, we're 2 points behind. And yeah, there was a point there where it was like, well, how is this season going to end? But football is a funny old game. And it's obviously turned around in our favour, and we have managed to find a good run of form at just the right time. Because at the end of the day, when a season's over, it's said and done, all that matters is you're top on the final day when it's all over. And yeah, Celtic are in prime position now to go and do that. And hey, we could have even more. We could have a double as well. But of course, we'll deal with that when we get to it. But in terms of the league title race, yesterday was huge, and what a performance. I said to you last night on PNP, I understand going into it, many fans were quite apprehensive and worried about it because Hearts have had 2 good results against us recently. And again, with this Celtic team being very bipolar at times, so you just don't know what's going to turn up. They pulled out the bag yesterday. It was resounding from minute one. We were 1-0 up within the first few minutes after that Kyogo header. And yeah, after that, it just got better and better. The atmosphere in the stadium was absolutely fantastic. It had to be as well. I think we needed that. And the players felt it. I said it again last night, and I said that my dad in the stadium at the game, you could feel in there was something tangible in the air yesterday. The players, I think, know it. The fans know it. The manager and all his team know it. It just feels inevitable now that, this cannot be stopped. We have got the momentum behind us. I think yesterday when the third one got scored, the penalty, Matt O'Reilly, who's usually quite a subdued guy with celebrations, he's no one that really goes overboard with celebrations. If he scores a pure pearl or a goal, he just seems very calm, Mr. Cool. He took that penalty away, and there was like a point where he was properly fired up, ran up to the fans, come on, you could see it was very un-Matt O'Reilly, very uncharacteristic of him because he's usually a cool customer. So I was like, when you see him doing that, it's like he believes, and the rest of the players, they know it's coming now, and yeah, fair play to them. They deserve it, man. Because they've pulled it out of the fire when it looked bleak for a wee while, but they found form at just the right time. And yesterday, it was fantastic, fantastic performance.
I think it's a mark of champions the way we've navigated the last few games, Phil. I think it's fair to say there's still been a wee up and down performances. Even last week there, like we were all kind of clinging on to the couch there, or with the seats if you're in the stadium. A goal could have been coming when Dundee were peppering our defence and Joe Hart's goal. But I feel like yesterday again, our experienced players turned up and led by example. And obviously the 3 experienced players that I'm talking about is, of course, your McGregors, your Forrest, and Joe Hart. And I mean, what do they all have in common, Phil? That they're born serial winners. And despite how rocky the season's been, having 3 squad members like that who know how to get the job done, they know how to see a title race through, and they know how to get over the line. When the temperature has been risen up this much this season, we had an 8-point lead, and Rangers managed to claw it back and even get ahead of us, and really should have went on and won this league. The big difference between us and them is our experienced players thrive in the situation, and I don't think their experienced players, your Taverniers, your Goldsons, your Barisics, whoever, I don't think they thrive in this sort of heated title race. Now, obviously, it's not over yet. Next week's to come, and we'll get on to that. But, when Rangers won the league, we just weren't at it. We were so far behind, and there was no pressure on them. Obviously, no players no fans in the stadium. There was such a big gap that we just couldn't catch up with them. The pressure was off, and they sailed through it. There was no title race there, and now that they're in a proper title race, I just don't think they can't even look to that title win to look for an experience of how to get over the line when Celtic were breathing down their neck. And the last 2 games against Ross County and obviously Dundee proved that they just couldn't handle the pressure that was put on them by not only themselves and Celtic coming up, but their own fans. I mean, like I said last time I was on this show, the fans have conceded that we've won the league. They might now. Some of them will still try and show face and say, "No, we can still win this." And yes, of course, they take mathematically, and there is still a chance that they could, depending on how results go. But I think deep down, a lot of them have just conceded that the league is over because they don't think they believe that their team have the metal to get the job done. And even Rodgers mentioning the mentality thing yesterday in that press conference. I mean, he's oozing with confidence, and we've had a lot of people are trying to say Rodgers it's been terrible this season, and he's only confident now because they're in pole position to win the league. We've chucked it. We've gifted in the league. I have to say, Rodgers has been pretty consistent on on what he's had to say in his press conferences, like what he expects and how he thinks that the league was going to play out, and a little bit of have I got your attention now came out yesterday. Like I've been saying this all along. Yeah, we've had our sticky patches. The players haven't really been underperforming. We're getting 45 minutes good, 45 minutes bad. But when it all comes and said and done, he knows how to get this title wrapped up, and I think he looks very confident that this league's over. And he's even said that the boys are going to have fun next week. We're going to have fun because it's not cockiness. It's because we thrive this.
Yeah,
we thrive in this. We enjoy it. They don't look like they're enjoying it right now. But Roger certainly does.
Oh, he definitely does. And it's interesting at the start of the season when he said, anyone that doubts me, I'll see you back here in May. And a lot of people, there's a point there where people are going, we could regret those words, but I think deep down he'll be quite confident now that he's going to deliver on this. But the mentality, you're right to highlight. I've seen a lot of Rangers fans on Twitter in the last, I will say not even 24 hours. It's been for a few weeks now that they are sort of conceding. A lot of them know that they've messed this up so badly. But I have seen what you're talking about, those types of fans that are saying, he's only confident now because of our mistakes and stuff. But those guys aren't paying attention. Yeah, things did drop off massively for us. We did have a really healthy lead and we threw it away. But the key for us was we never allowed them to get out of striking distance. There was games where where they turned the momentum around and they'd gone top, and we did enough to just hang in there, and that was crucial. Had we fell about 6 or 7 points behind, but we always kept them within like one loss, where we kept them just like 2 points in front of us. And there was like the game against Motherwell, for instance, at Fir Park, where we were plodding along. It was one each, 90th minute. Then Ida scores 2 goals in stoppage time. Those are the type of crucial results we're going to look back at the end of the season if we pull this off and go, it's all well and good that we did find this great run of form at the end of the season. Say all it matters as long as you're top when the season's said and done. But along the way, when there was a bad run of form, there was still those wee games here and there where we just dug deep and we just found that victory that just kept them just within distance for us, where we know that if you make one mistake, we can pounce on that. And of course, then 2 mistakes came along at once. With the loss to Ross County and the draw with Dundee not long after it. And it was like, we were right there breathing down their neck. And that's probably played into, what you're talking about, their mentality. I think if they were able to pull maybe 5, 6, 7 points ahead of us and get a wee cushion, then they probably would have won that Ross County Dundee game. I think the fact that we were just lingering there, just behind them, the whole time, and it was like we can, we usually make one mistake, and we're coming into the business end of the season, we're going to pounce, and they have crumbled. You see the difference again relating to their title win, the COVID season, no fans. We're a team and a club that thrive on emotion and fans, and that we've definitely the opposite to them. We suffered so much for that because we need that 12th man. Yesterday showed that as well in the stadium. That 12th man, the crowd, get behind them. But yeah, we're going back to before COVID happened, just as it was happening, as they were having an absolute implosion. The night they lost to Hamilton Accies and they were all calling for Steven Gerrard's head. Remember the infamous article from their programme where Tavernier had said that the players don't like it when the fans get on top of them and put pressure on them. And guys like him and Goldson and Barisic, who are all there, are all still there now. Lundstrom, I think he was at Rangers at that point as well. It's a case of they've clearly shown that the cracks are still there, and we have capitalised on it. So now I say we're in a great position. We can't throw it away from here, but I do feel that the way things went yesterday, that atmosphere in the stadium, the mood, it just feels inevitable now. I think everybody knows it, that it's coming and they can't stop it.
Obviously I wasn't at the game yesterday, but you can clarify this. So I watched the highlights last night on BBC, and I don't think it I don't know if they turned the volume down or not, but you could see that the crowd were totally up for it, but maybe the sound was down a wee bit, I don't know. But so it's quite a contrast for the start of the season, Phil, when we had a lot of almost like the crowd was kind of split down the middle about obviously the fact that Rodgers had come back. A lot of people weren't happy about that, and has he managed to win those guys around? Because like you said, the whole stadium seemed to be singing in unison yesterday. We're all singing for the same spreadsheet, and yeah, like it's quite mad to think back at the beginning of the season, like booing 1-0 wins, and not really couldn't get on board with the fact that Rodgers was back in charge after obviously the way he left. But it just seems to be I don't want to say forgotten about, but that those emotions certainly have been parked in the meantime, because I think no matter how you feel about Brendan Rodgers and how he left and how this campaigns went and how the board have spent the money or tied his hands behind his back, I think every fan in that stadium yesterday knew that the bigger picture is we need to win these games. We need to support the boys that are on the pitch and help them get over this line. And then we'll deal with tomorrow's problems tomorrow. But today we focus on getting the result. And I think that was the most important thing yesterday. Like I said, no matter how you feel about the whole season in general and who's in charge and yada yada yada, the most important thing is the success on the pitch that Celtic's there to grab. And I think that was the most important thing yesterday, Phil.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. With the start of the season, you're right. There was definitely a contingent of the fan base, and I'll say probably a loud minority. Social media can be can amplify things a wee bit, of fans who are just like, I'm not supporting that, rattling the sideline and all that. And it's like, look, I know obviously how he left in 2019, and it wasn't great. It wasn't a good look for him, the way it was all handled and whatnot. And at the end of the day, he's now the Celtic manager, and regardless of what you think about it, you need to get behind him, because if you're kind of willing him on to, just to prove a point, essentially you can say, I told you so, told you he wasn't that good. It's like you're kind of willing him on to fail, which means that you want the club to fail, and it's like you can't have that. When Neil Lennon got reappointed in 2019, I wasn't particularly happy about it. A lot of fans weren't happy about it. We kind of felt that's the wrong move, but you know what? As a fan, I had to just suck it up and get on with it and get behind him. I say for those fans at the start of the season that were obviously like they didn't want Brendan Rodgers back and were questioning, think he's washed up now, his tactics, are they going to work and whatnot? And it's like, well, look, he's now the Celtic manager. We just need to get behind him. This isn't a time to basically sit there and go, I told you so, told you he was washed up and whatnot. And they just got to get on with it. So I don't know if it's, the song you're talking about, like the singing and the unison and stuff like that yesterday. I still don't feel there's an overwhelming love for Brendan Rodgers. Like the songs about him don't seem to still get rung out by the Green Brigade and whatnot. There was a game this season, I think we beat Hearts at Tynecastle, and the fans that were in attendance, right? But that was right after the whole Green Brigade ban kicked in, so it was almost like, well, they're not here now, so we'll sing his name and praise him. But say it's at the end of the season, if he does deliver this double, the league title itself is the most important one. If he delivers that, he's going to get a lot more on side. But yeah, ultimately, he is now the Celtic manager. We just have to get on with it. Whether you still like it, if you still got a grudge with him over 2019 or whatnot, just got to get behind him. And you're right, we'll have to deal with tomorrow's problems tomorrow, or in this case, it'll be the summer. I'd like to think that the Celtic board will deal with said problems, but but I won't hold my breath on that one. That's going to be many discussions, I'm sure, during the transfer window, David. There'll be many of those, but no, he's going the right way to turning around all the doubters, and hopefully, say if we end this season with a double, it's going to be up there in terms of the sweetness of it, because where we've been this season to have turned it around, it's going to be an epic finish to this season.
Still on the topic of Brendan Rodgers, how do you feel how well do you think he's done in man management this season overall? Because obviously, like, he's persevered with the likes of Yang, and of course he's I wouldn't even say persevered. He's put a lot of faith into Liam Scales, which we'll get on to talking about, and obviously he's been rewarded with that new contract. But to see him turn to James Forrest the way he has, and to see, the impact that Forrest has made yet again this season is tremendous. Is that down to the way Brendan Rodgers has managed James Forrest? Because obviously Forrest didn't get a lot of game time last year. It was sprinkled here and there by Ange as well, when needed due to injuries. But it's very easy for Forrest to kind of, I wouldn't say become unprofessional, but he could have let it slip a little bit. He didn't have to. He's obviously still been training really hard, keeping himself in shape, always ready to be called upon whenever mean, he's a Celtic fan through and through. There's no doubt about that. He was told he could leave this season, and obviously he didn't. And I think a lot of us wouldn't have batted an eyelid and would have said, "Thanks for your service, Forrest. You've been a great servant for the club. Go and enjoy whatever you be to go and do." But thank God he didn't. And like I said, I think that goes down. I think there has to be a bit of credit on both sides. Obviously, Forrest for keeping himself in such good shape and mentally ready to be called upon when needed. He obviously understands that is his role.
Yeah.
But for Brendan Brendan's surely be you see what he's doing at the end. He's got his arm round him, patting him on the chest. Well done once again. And obviously, even that wee cheeky, he's the best winger at the club. That's one of those Rodgers moments where you just know he's just. It's just, I think his man management's been incredible, to be fair. And obviously, Forrest has done a brilliant job to do what he's done. And I think he could potentially be in the starting lineup again against Rangers, probably on the right hand side. And I think Diaz Almeida will be back in on the left, Phil, ready to give Tavernier some more nightmares.
Yeah, he definitely will. That performance yesterday from Maeda coming on was you always worry about a player coming back from an injury, like, oh, they're going to be up to speed. But my God, he was terrifying. By the way, he really was. He was just so sharp. The pace was fantastic. Gave the problems to Hart's right back. As soon as he came on, he was just closing them down, and it's like, it's a preview for next week. So fair play that he's back and looking ready for next week, because we're going to need him. We know what he does, because Rangers' biggest threat is their right back. They pass the ball to him a lot as well. So if you've got a guy like Maeda that is just going to be on top of him every time they look for him, then it can only benefit us. But yeah, in terms of Forrest as well, you're right on that one. His professionalism has been fantastic, the way he's handled it, because he has definitely known his role, and not even just this season, but the last couple of seasons, even under Ange, he had a few fleeting appearances. There was a game last season under Ange where he came in out of nowhere against Hibs and scored a hat-trick. That was the day that he got the 100 goals, or whatever it was, 100 assists, 100 goals. I think he finally passed that landmark. But and then he disappeared at the team for ages and whatnot. So fair play to the lad that he's kept, just been professional about it, was able to just, when he's called upon, to put in these good performances. And with Brendan and his man management, obviously I think we're now more acutely aware of how Brendan Rodgers operates after his first spell in charge, because whenever he says things now, a lot of us just kind of roll our eyes and go, that's Brendan being Brendan. But he did obviously say that line about, he's the best winger at the club, which a lot of people freaked out over and were like, what? Does this mean James Forrest is going to be the winger for a good few years or whatever? I guess just Brendan, just bigging the player up, just making him feel 10 feet tall. And obviously James Forrest has responded in kind with the performance he's been putting in recently. He's been showing that he's still got something in the tank. He's still got something to offer here, and what a crucial stage of the season for him to come in and do it. It's hilarious that a guy that we gave a testimonial to at the start of the season, most people thought, well, this is goodbye, James. He could be the secret weapon that gets us over the line here. Fair play, man. I'm always happy to be proved wrong and stuff like that. So it makes for a great story. And he could end up in the Euros squad as well, because Scotland players are dropping like flies right now. With the amount of injuries going into the European Championships, he could end up playing in Germany as well with the Scotland team. So what a finish to the season it's been for James Forrest.
I know. Just going to bring in Regan Stevenson. How you doing, Regan? Waiting in the sidelines, warming up.
Doing well, David. People probably think I'm doing the disappear, but it's good to be back on the bus. It's been a while. I enjoyed the Celtic game yesterday, David. I mean, I was at the match. I thought Celtic played really well. It's good to join you boys again.
It's good to have you back on, mate. We keep missing you because we're obviously doing the show every second week at the minute, and it's just happened that both times that you've not been available. But I'm glad to get you. I'm glad to get you back on, mate. We're talking about experience that's been brought into this title race, and of course, no experience is better than your experience on the Boise podcasting game, Regan. We're talking about obviously the wingers situation. A few moments, or a few comments have come in there saying that Kuhn was a disappointment again, Regan. Is this just a case of a guy that's just still trying to find his feet in a very I don't want to say that. Oh, I suppose you would say a difficult patch when he came in? Has it just been a case of like it's just been poor timing, and maybe if everything was a bit more hunky dory, he'd have been probably flying a bit easier? What's your thoughts on Kuhn?
I think the problem with him, David, is he takes too many touches and he takes too long to get rid of the ball. There was a point yesterday, I don't know if you remember it, Phil, but he got by the guy and it was still went over a corner. But if he played the ball earlier, it would have went in for possibly another goal for Kyogo or a goal for Matt O'Reilly. And I just think sometimes he takes too many touches. I think if he had more confidence, then I think he would have played that ball sooner, and then it would have been easier for someone to score. But I think he's still a work in progress. I don't think he's a finished article. And for me, I think next season, now, David, I don't know if you watched the championship action yesterday, but I think for me, someone that we need to be looking at is Sammy Smodics. I think he's
A Blackburn.
scored, yeah, he scored 2 yesterday to keep Blackburn in the championship. He's a really, really good player. I don't know if many people in the chat will know him, but this guy is a great player. He's probably going to be a contract in the summer, so I don't think it's going to cost us a lot of money. And I think it's something we should be looking at for the midfield area.
Yeah, I
But
agree with you there, mate.
but in terms of our German winger at the moment, I think it's still a work in progress, and I think for next week I would go with Forrest and Maeda. Yeah, I think James Forrest has been a breath of fresh air, David. I think he was outstanding against Dundee, and he was outstanding again yesterday. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, like it's been phenomenal. Yeah, Phil, I think we Kuhn. I think Mo's
says
right
like-
here. Next season be a big one for Kuhn. Let's be patient. I think that's fair. I think like we get over the line, we reset, and we see where he's at next season. We judge him properly for there. I think he's a player that's lacking confidence. He came in obviously with the toothache, got that dealt with. He lost weight, had to build all that back up, all that carry on that they've been, all the excuses and yada. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see what he does next year. Yeah, he's a frustrating figure for me. I don't know, like I want him to do well. Obviously, I think he looks exciting. It's his decision making just seems to be all over the shop just now, but. And Brendan, we trust to coach that. Of course, Callum McGregor again. Phil, there was a lot of talk that he may not have started yesterday ahead of Tomoki Iwata. I think there was a lot of people, including our very own judge, that was quite vocal on Twitter about that yesterday, or X. Yep. He'd have rather Iwata started. I think there was a few other people I think would have agreed with that. However, our captain turned up the performance yesterday, Phil. He looked like he was back to his best. He got a huge cheer. Notice when he tracked back to win that ball.
Yeah.
And get the attack back on. He just looked back to his best, Phil. And I think the timing couldn't be any better because obviously he had a moment to forget against Rangers at Ibrox, but I don't think this is the Callum McGregor that Rangers fans don't want to see playing next week.
Yeah, he definitely grew into the game yesterday because in the first half there was a few moments where he did well to like win the ball back, but then his next touch was really sloppy and we ended up giving the ball back. But so he did grow into the game. But that second half, again, you said earlier on when you watched the highlights, you felt that maybe on Sports Scene they maybe turned down the volume. I can tell you, and Regan will back me up because he was at the game.
The atmosphere was incredible yesterday.
When he tracked back on Vargas, I believe it was, that wee Hearts winger who was a total nuisance all day. He was just, honestly, he was giving us a few problems.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, he tracked back, and when he won that ball, it was cheered like a goal in the stadium because it was like, that's the Callum McGregor that we need to see. We know what he's capable of. Because generally, as he was chasing him back, I was like, see if he just takes him out and cops a booking, so be it. It stops a counter attack. But no, he won the ball brilliantly, and I say it was greeted with a massive cheer in the stadium, like an actual goal or something. It was a phenomenal moment. And that was one of many yesterday, like, you know, moments that were celebrated like goals that weren't goals. But yeah, it was that's exactly what you want to see from Callum McGregor at this stage. Again, guys finding form at just the right time ahead of him, because you're right in saying that they certainly don't like it when Callum McGregor's in form. He gives them plenty of problems in the middle of the park. when he's at his best. And yeah, this is what we need to see next week. Is going to be so huge. It all comes down to this. So yesterday was a moment where like now we can feel a bit more comfortable about Callum McGregor, because obviously coming back for that injury, there was concerns, there was worries, rightfully so. He did look well off it, but yesterday it's like, right, now we're getting in the right direction. Couldn't time it any better. So looking forward to seeing what he does next week now.
I don't know how you thoughts for Phil, but I just felt like the full stadium was just absolutely fantastic yesterday. I mean, and it was like Brendan Rodgers as well. I've never seen him so pumped up. He was brilliant. He was like on this. He was jeering the crowd at every opportunity. I think Brendan knew yesterday, David, how important that game was. I think he knew exactly what was needed. And it's the first time I've seen proper emotion from Brendan Rodgers throughout his two spells.
Yeah.
You know, I just felt like he was totally zoned in on what had to be done, and he knew the Hearts were going to be up for it. I mean, you looked at that game yesterday, people could go a 3-0 victory, but see even at 2-0, Phil will tell you, I thought Stephen A. Smith's team actually played really well. They created a lot of chances. They probably could have scored a couple of goals if it was there for Celtic being well organised, and then Joe Hart pulled off a few good saves. So I was just really happy to get in there with a win, you know. And I felt like I don't know. I just feel like Brendan Rodgers is really zoned into this title race. I think he's really brought the best out of him. I think he's really brought the best out of the players. And I think like somebody like Joe Hart's really improved since he's called time on his football in time, because I don't know if it's really brought the best out of him to think, well, I've only got 2 matches left or 3 matches left. But I am just really happy with the way the team's playing at the moment.
Regan, yesterday, this will be, I don't know if this came across in the highlights, David, you're saying you watched it and it looks like they just spliced it up and edited it all, but there was a passage of play yesterday in the second half, and I highlighted it on PMP, and Regan will know it. There was genuinely a 5 to 10 minute spell midway through the second half where how we didn't add a goal at that point was beyond me, where the momentum, everything about it, just we were relentless. Every time Hearts tried to get out of their own half, we just closed them down, won it back, just forcing chance after chance. I think at one point, like, we had 2 chances in quick succession where it like fell to Hatate and then fell to O'Reilly or vice versa. Yeah, but there was this 5 to 10 minute spell where it was just, you're like, there's got to be a goal coming at some point. We're absolutely battering them here. And again, you're just like, every time the Hearts were trying to come out, we're pressing them, and multiple players going to the ball and chasing it down, and the crowd are responding to it. And it was just like, this is what we've been waiting to see. And I'd say, Regan, you'll remember that moment yesterday. But yeah, it was like 5 to 10 minutes genuinely midway through the second half where it just was just constant, just a wave after wave, and the crowd just got louder and louder with it as it kept going. And it was a phenomenal.
Because I said to the guy beside me, I said, if we don't score during this period of play, I'm getting worried, because I felt like because we didn't score during that period, I thought, well, if Hearts could get a goal in the last 15 minutes of the match, then this could spell trouble, because once they get one goal, then they'll breathe a bit of confidence. But thankfully, Celtic really grew into, they got that penalty. I don't know if we used in the stadium, but I was up on the top stand, 419, and I wasn't able to see it, but I did see the reaction of the players. And when I seen the reaction of the players, I thought, well, this is going to be a penalty, because all of the players were screaming for it. And it's no often you see Celtic players screaming for a penalty. So I feel like it was obvious to them. When I seen it on the highlights, I thought, how has the referee missed that?
Yeah, we'll see that in PMP last night. I sit right lower Jockstein stand at that side the corner came in from. We all saw it right away. We're all screaming penalty, and I'm saying, my dad and my mate next to me saying that Iwata got a penalty against him for less at Tynecastle. It's like, that's got to be a penalty, because obviously he throws his arm up, and that's a penalty in the law. But yeah, you're right. Why did Clancy miss it in real time? But it was one of the quickest VAR decisions I have ever seen. It was literally a quick touch of the earpiece, and then it was like, okay, he didn't even do like the proper drag it out that they do. It was like a wee quick do the square, and then he ran to the screen, and he came back right away, penalty. But
It's like volleyball film.
interesting. But did you see the? I don't know if this was picked up on the cameras or have you seen this, Regan? But Greg Taylor actually ran to get the ball off of their goalkeeper before the penalty was even awarded because the Celtic players were that convinced we're getting a penalty here, which seems a bit odd that a Celtic player was that convinced. But he was like, "It's got to be." And then you see the replay, you're like, that's it had to be. But the bigger question here is that should have been a booking, and that would have been Shankland's second booking, and he should have been sent off, but Kevin Clancy didn't feel compelled to give him a yellow card, so it's like didn't really enforce the rules there.
I've not seen the challenge back. What did you think at the time? Because I kind of thought this could possibly be a red, but then I've not seen it back to see.
I've not seen it back neither. I asked Terry last night because he obviously watched it, and I said, "What did they show on like the replays?" He said, "One, they didn't show enough replays to really make your mind up." But there was a few people in the chat that said he should have walked for it. Terry said last night, "It's either nothing that is a coming together, or it's a deliberate one." Because in the stadium where I'm sat, it did look like quite a sinister move. It did look like he threw the elbow out on purpose.
Oh, I felt he should have been. I thought he should have been off. We talked about the elbow to
elbow. Yeah, in the first half. Taylor. There was no VAR review or anything because again we're all screaming that we could see it from where I was sat, like way through his arm out. So like that's an elbow.
So I feel like a lot of the obviously we know the importance of winning that game was yesterday, but I think like Regan's saying he's never seen Brendan so pumped up. There's had to be a slight tinge of we want revenge for Tynecastle with those players and that man. I mean, this is the game that we got. A wrongful handball, we get a player sent off, which was debatable, and Brendan Rodgers gets a ban for his comments. Now, tell me this, right? What was more dangerous, the Bally like elegance leg lift that barely touched the player in the face, or an elbow to a straight elbow to the face? What's more dangerous?
Elbow.
The elbow, sure. Yeah. It's like it's beggars belief. Anyway, we
can also say, David, that in VAR wrote a statement today this week to say that the Awata call was the wrong call. So what Brendan Rodgers said was spot on at the time of the incident. You know, so the fact that VAR said they only made 26 wrong calls throughout the season, and then they come out and say that that Awata one was a wrong call, but then Brendan Rodgers got banned for it for saying it was a wrong call.
Yep.
Make
it make sense.
It's a whole other podcast, that, Regan. Of course, I think it's time we talk about our goalkeeper.
Yes.
Joe Hart. Let's focus on Joe Hart, who is retiring at the end of the season, not just leaving Celtic, retiring from football. Joe Hart has faced 76 shots in the Premiership this season, and he's saved 51 of them. So a 67% save percentage, some of which have been absolutely huge for us this season. Like you said, Phil, earlier in the year, we dropped points to Kilmarnock, who could have been a lot worse if it hadn't been for Joe Hart. There was big saves yesterday, of course, because Hearts, they like to play against us, Hearts. You know, they might not come up against Rangers, but they like to play against us. And he had to pull off some great saves, even a Travella from Devlin. I thought it was.
What a save that was, David.
Oh, great! It looked good on the cameras. I'll tell you that. I think let's look at Joe Hart, right? So he burst onto the scene at Shrewsbury Town, right? And he made 54 appearances before moving to City. And then he went out on loan a couple of times. He went out on loan to Birmingham in 2009 as he just wasn't fancied by the Mark Hughes, who was in charge at City at the time, before he made the number one jersey zone under Mancini and Pellegrini between 2011 and 2018. He went on to make 348 appearances for the club, winning 2 Premier Leagues, a FA Cup and 2 English League Cups. And one of those title wins for City was, of course, the famous 2011-2012 season when Aguero scored that goal to clinch it at the death. And of course, there's you see it all the time. Hart celebrating in his own box, hands out when City won that league title. So, how much importance does that experience of that particular season have for Joe Hart? Not only for him personally, but for the rest of the squad. And do you think that this league title, if we go on to win it, which I'm pretty sure we will, if we go on to win it, will it be up there with one of Joe Hart's best league wins, Phil?
I think it will, yes. I mean, you can argue about the quality in the two leagues, but at the end of the day, we're all playing the same game. And yeah, that title race in particular you're talking about, everyone remembers the Aguero winner, but the run up to that game, it was touch and go between Man United and Man City. There was a game, I think, with about 2 or 3 games to go, where City beat United. I think Vincent Kompany scored the winner on that.
For the corner.
So it was really touch and go right up until the end. Of course, Man United thought they'd won it on the last day with City drawn with QPR. It did full time at Sunderland, and then City scored that goal. So that tight run in as well. So Joe Hart's been over the course with that one. He's experienced that because it's 2 seasons so far at Celtic. The first season under Ange, we were chasing Rangers down. We got ahead, and once we got ahead, we stayed ahead. And then last season, it was relatively comfortable. So he's had a bit of a mixed bag so far. But this one, yeah, it's going to be another touch and go one. And it's having experience of that one. We're going up against an Alex Ferguson Man United as well. It's going to do him well. The experience that he'll have got for that to get over the line. And these are the type of players that we need. And it's quite incredible, as Terry said last night. And since he's handed in his resignation, essentially, he's been absolutely incredible. He's just got better and better. And again, with this Player of the Year awards coming up for Celtic on the 12th of May, I generally think he would be a justified choice, and it wouldn't be seen as it's just a wee bit of sympathy because he's leaving. We're just trying to, make him feel better on his way. No, he fully deserves it. Matt O'Reilly had an unbelievable season when you look at the numbers, but there was a period there where Matt O'Reilly did drop off. The first half of the season was carrying the team pretty much, but yeah, since January to maybe recently, he's had quite a lull. But Joe Hart has got consistently better as the season's went on, which is quite ironic because the way we started the season, David, a lot of us were all calling for, we need to get rid of Joe Hart. We need to move Joe Hart on now. It's like, well, if he wasn't in goal for us in the last few months, then heaven forbid, man, where we'd be right now. He's been a huge, huge player for us, and hopefully he goes out with a bang in the next couple of weeks.
So Regan, Big Dom's here has said Hart should have announced his retirement when he joined. Now, it's funny that he's brought that up because I also wanted to discuss with you, Regan, the importance of the timing of Joe Hart's announcement, because obviously he announced it earlier on in the season, maybe just over the halfway mark, and I want to compare and contrast that with the announcement of Klopp's announcement of leaving Liverpool, because I can't help but feel when Klopp announced him leaving Liverpool, I feel like it became the Klopp show. And like, can Klopp go out with a bang and win the league? And I feel like that's been a complete hindrance to Liverpool's title challenges that the media put on to the Klopp leaving. And like, it's just a bit of a sideshow, Klopp leaving Liverpool this season, and a lot of uncertainty around who would be their next manager. Players, are they going to be there next year? Do they want to be there if Klopp's leaving? Yada, yada. And that's been a complete hindrance on their season. Complete sideshow, massive distraction. However, I feel it's been the complete opposite for Joe Hart's announcement. I feel like, especially when you look at what he said, and I can read his statement here, one bit that really stood out in his announcement was that he thinks it was really important with the blessing on the club that we get the message out, as it takes one thing off the table that people need to speculate over. I'm definitely not going to be there next season. I'm not going to be available to play football next season. Now, I feel like as fans and I feel probably even the players in the squad and Joe Hart himself, they want to win this league title, obviously because it's Celtic and we must win the league title. But I feel like because of the performance that Joe Hart's put in, it's like it's upped his game, that he wants to go out. He wants to give Celtic something to remember him by, just as much as we want to remember Joe Hart and we want to see him leave with a title, with a winner's medal around his neck, because he deserves it. And it hasn't been a hindrance. It hasn't been a distraction. It's almost been an added reason as to why we need to win the league, opposed to like, well, what we're going to do once Joe Hart leaves. All these distractions of him leaving, it's not there. We know we'll have a new goalkeeper next year, and that will be dealt with. But let's get Joe Hart this league title.
David, I think you're spot on there, and I think it's interesting what you said there about the supporters as well, because I'm a big supporter of Joe Hart. I'm also a big supporter of the team, but I did see a lot of people around me before the announcement, like, have quite a go at Joe Hart and stuff like that. But full tell you, every week now, Joe Hart's name has been sung all in the stadium. And that plays a big part. And Matt O'Reilly, after the Aberdeen game, when I was coming home, said that they want to go out in a high for Joe Hart and win 2 trophies. And I think for me, it's a great debate that you're talking about there about Klopp, because in terms of that, that's derailed in their full season. They lost to Crystal Palace and they've lost in Europe as well. So I feel like, in terms of if Joe Hart didn't say that he was retiring, maybe he thinks that Celtic fans would be ultra critical just to prove that Joe Hart shouldn't be in goal next year. But maybe this is taking the weight off his shoulders to go, well, I'm not going to be here next season, so just get off my back and just support me. Because, like, if you look at every match that we've had over the past 2 or 3 months, everybody's been singing Joe Hart's name. And you looked at the Dundee game last week, Joe Hart's jumping about with the fans, enjoying it, and they're singing his name for a good 5 minutes. So everybody's just been appreciative of what Joe Hart's doing. And I think it was a bit of really good by him and really good by the club in terms of to get that message out there, just to show Joe Hart that support. And I think it's really benefited the club.
I think he's needed it. Regan. I think there was a big part of, well, I won't say a big part. There was certainly a part in Joe Hart's career where he felt that the love for him was no longer there. He wasn't appreciated by the fans, especially after obviously Pep discarded him. It's really set him down a spiral in terms of clubs he would be playing for. He was back up at Burnley, sitting behind the likes of Nick Pope and who was the other? There was another English keeper at the time. And
Nick Pope and Tom Heaton.
Yep. So, you know, he's sitting there. He's never getting a game there. He then goes to Tottenham. He's pretty much told to his face, "I will never play you. Like, I will never play you."
By Santo, aye.
Yeah. So to come to Celtic, and obviously, like Ange, he wanted him, and he's brought him here, and I don't like to use the phrase that he gets it, but he does. He's adopted Celtic, and I think he's loved every minute of it, and I think the fans can't help but appreciate that, and that's why they want to see him do well at the end of the season. Like, he just looks like a fan living out our dream, playing in the goals for Celtic. The way he celebrates, I mean, he says that Livingston's his best, is his favourite away game. So he's probably glad that this time it's perfect. Now, I don't need to bother because they're not going to be here next year either. But yeah, I think, I mean, and also Phil, I mean, when Joe Hart announced his retirement, a lot of revisionism from the English fans. I felt like, you know, all these, but it did show like the size of football and personality, you know, that we have at our club right now. Like, he is a legend of the English game. There's no doubt about it. Like 70 plus caps for England. They said Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, League Cup winner. I think people forgot of how big a deal Joe Hart was, and maybe still is. And I think he'll be fondly remembered by us, maybe even more so than maybe Man City fans as of late.
I think as well, David, his personality around the dressing room seems really good. He seems like a good person, you know, and I think that's something that we need to address next season. And Brendan will need to address as well, because I just seem like Joe Hart's a really nice person to be around. And I'm not saying bad on Barkas, but I'm saying that Joe Hart clearly has an influence on people like Kyogo, Maeda, Palmer, all these players. You can see it, and he, like the way that he speaks to them, and the way that the appreciation that he had for James Forrest after the cup final. He talks about James Forrest being a stalwart for Celtic and being so used to winning trophies. That's a guy that knows, that's been through the course and distance. And I'm no disrespect to Barkas again, but we need to have someone that's got that mentality that can really stand up in big moments, you know. And I think that's I think that I'm going to say that's what's got Celtic through this last couple of months is the mentality of the squad compared to Rangers. We've been there, we've done it, and we've got the personalities in the squad that have been through that course and distance, like Joe Hart, like McGregor, like Cat Vickers, like Greg Taylor. You know what I mean? We've got all these born winners that have seen that every season, and they know what it takes. See, when it gets to the crunch time, they know what it takes to get through that message and to say to everybody, right, we need to be on it today. And see next week, I bet you Joe Hart, if Joe Hart doesn't make great saves next week, he'll be a great personality in the dressing room, getting people fired up and knowing their jobs. The one criticism I've got of Joe Hart, and I don't know if you noticed it, Phil, but there was a time with 10 minutes to go that he played the ball too quick. I feel like he should have just calmed the game down a little bit and understood we were 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go and slowed the game down because there was no need to go quick. All we needed to do was see the game out.
Yeah, his distribution at times can be a bit so sometimes he goes a bit too quick when the team's trying to slow it down, and sometimes he slows it down too much when the team are trying to move quick. It's one of these things. But overall, yeah, he's been phenomenal. I'm glad, David, that you brought up the whole he gets it thing, right? You're right, it is a bit a cliche, but the vibe that I get from him is when he came up here, obviously he'll have been very much aware of Celtic. You know, he's not totally ignorant to it, but he came up here from England. He's obviously took a pay cut as well, which was well documented. And he's knowing that, okay, you know, it's a big club and it'll be a good wee retirement for me, or a good wee sort of like end to my career. I don't think he's realised or grasped just how big a deal it is, and you can see he's really been taken in by it. You look at Scott Sinclair when he came up here as well, and he was kind of like thrown on the trash heap down in England as well after his spell, and how he took to the club and the fans. And I think a lot of players in England, even though they understand it, how big Celtic are a big club and whatnot, and the rivalry with Rangers, but until they actually experience it. And I'd like to think that Joe Hart, you know, what he's done and how he talks about the club now, that other players down in England will see that as well, and would think that they'd fancy a go at this as well. Because, he's. I think he could become a very good club ambassador for us. I know.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, I definitely think in the way he speaks about the club and the way he's just bought in, I could see him playing a role like that. But who knows? Who knows what the next thing for Joe Hart will be when he goes into media, when he goes into coaching or whatnot? Who knows? But yeah, he's had a good run at it with us, and yeah, it's been really, really heartwarming, I think, to watch him in the last few years of how he has really taken to the club and the fans. And yeah, you're right, he was a broken man essentially with the way he'd been treated, and I think we just rejuvenated him, and it's been really good to see. He's got the fire back in his belly essentially, and that's the magic of Celtic, the way Celtic's brought him in, and the way we've adopted him, the way he's taken to us, and we thank him so much for what he's done. But hey, we've got a little bit more to go, so why not make it just that wee bit better, Joe? Let's finish on a real bang here.
Absolutely. And I feel like Joe Hart's the kind of is a great example. He said, Phil, you know, there's a chance that other people down south might see that and go, obviously there's got to be a fine line between it becoming a retirement plan and obviously what Joe Hart's done. But I thought I certainly wouldn't be against another Joe Hart type, not really necessarily a goalkeeper, but any position that you can kind of go, there's no reason why he can't rejuvenate his career up at Celtic. And a wee chat with Joe Hart might just be what's needed. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any players right this very second. You know, because there's always that, oh man, why are we looking at this guy? He's not kicked a ball in 3 years, but he's only 31 and we know he's got the talent, you know, but that's a topic for another day. We've got we're at 11:55. We'll go for a little bit longer. I want to obviously quickly look. We've kind of discussed this weekend's game coming, and there'll be plenty more podcasts to do.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be a big build up. I think we'll have a wee bit of fun. We'll have a little bit of fun on that build up, I'm sure. I brought up a topic that is probably one of these ones that's going to go nowhere, but I thought it's a good topic of conversation. But there's a lot of discussion this week because it was reported by The Athletic on Monday morning that there's a driving force behind inside the Premier League that they are yet again now debating how to get meaningful matches involving Premier League clubs played overseas, especially in the States, as there's quite a lot of American owners in the Premier League. However, it was otherwise dressed up as meaningful matches involving Premier League club. It's 100% all about eventually seeing actual regular Premier League fixtures being played in other countries. Now, The Athletic reported that in June 2021, the AGM saw club owners' representatives discussing how they could be taking Premier League matches to the world, and they reported that they'd been followed up with further discussions at the meeting of that 20 Premier League clubs last week, with the USA, China, India, Brazil, and Indonesia in particular identified as places where they can increase the appeal to new fans. Now, this isn't the first time they've had this discussion, because back in 2008, the Premier League wanted to play an extra round of matches, making it 39 games to a season. To those 10 extra games would be played in other countries, with potential at the time for all 20 clubs to bank an extra £5 million each. A massive backlash from football fans, of course, in England ensured that plan was swiftly dropped, or in reality it was quietly hidden away to be brought up again, and that's what's happened. Now, what's your thoughts on that? Because that seems to be where football looks like they're trying to go, because obviously it's all about making money, and the Premier League are talking about all this other stuff about putting caps in place to for wages and signings, and so they're all now trying to find other ways to making money. And we've always talked about, like, in Scotland, are we just getting left behind? Now, I personally don't like the idea of Premier League fixtures happening overseas that are actually for the actual league table, but the fact that there's so many American owners that have the facilities to host these games over there, that it seems to be like that could be heading that way. And my worry is that then we start to look in that direction as well, because I didn't actually realise how many US American owners are in the Scottish League. Obviously, St Johnstone could be taken over in the next coming weeks by an American owner. Dundee were taken over by US businessmen in 2013, while Hibs were bought by the late Ron Gordon in 2019. And you've got Bill Foley expected to have his bid for a 25% stake approved at the club's AGM next week. Dundee United as well. There's loads, right? And I'm just worried that they're seeing that as well. There's no reason why we can't do it too, because they know that Celtic and Rangers have such massive fan bases across the world that they could be saying, listen, this could be a money-making scheme. We can go over to. I mean, even like I said, Burnley owners have invested in Scottish clubs. I'm sure they own. They could easily get games organised over there. I'm just worried that is America the destination where they'll be looking at, like, to get to almost, if it goes that way with the Premier League, are Celtic and Rangers then targeted by? But for doing this as well. And I mean, and let's be honest, like it was flirted last season in Australia to have a old firm friendly that our board were happy to be involved in as well for Ange's home tour. And the only reason it didn't go ahead is because Rangers pulled out of it because of the backlash. It's like it's not. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility this could happen. And I really hope it doesn't. And I think football fans will win in that regard, and they won't allow Premier League clubs to go and do that. But if the Premier League do, and it is seen as a success on a money-making front, does our board and our American owners in the Scottish League then start to think we should do it too?
I think they do, because I think Neil Doncaster said yesterday he's looking for more ways for Scottish football to make more money, and that's one way. I'll tell you right now, David, that thing you're talking about there about the Australia owner thing, last year about the old firm being in Australia, I think that happens now. It was only because Ange Postecoglou was there and it was dressed up as the Ange Postecoglou tour.
That's right.
If it was dressed up as Celtic versus Rangers, the big match, everybody would be going there to Australia. So it just worries me, because, like you said, football should be for the working class people, like the people from Pollock Shields, Parkhead, Sandhills, everywhere that are working Monday to Friday in Tesco to pay for their season ticket. No for the people that are on hospitality packages on their way to America to watch Celtic. And I think Phil made a great point on Friday when I'm watching his Friday show that he does, talking to Liam about the season ticket thing. I mean, we're talking about the American owners, but Celtic are aware of these things as well, that the people that are paying for their season tickets, they all give them a shorter deadline. I don't think that's right. I agree with what Phil and Liam were saying on Friday night show, but I think in terms of what you're saying there about your point, I think that's just the way football is going. I mean, there's going to be a point where probably Mo Salah goes to the Saudi Arabian League on the summer because he's wanted over there, and like morals are not in football anymore. And then see the fact that people from Scotland want to go and watch football. These people don't care anymore. They don't. They like we were only good to a certain point, but they care about trying to get more and more money. Like you said there, David, everything now is revolved around money. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Celtic were involved in some sort of European league overseas.
Yep. Phil, what's your thoughts on it? Because you know fine well that there's a certain Jacksonville Jaguars owner owns Fulham Football Club. So right away, Fulham have the keys to a stadium there to say, look, we've got a fixture against Liverpool coming up soon at home. Rather than playing at Craven Cottage, we'll happily take it to Jacksonville and we'll host Liverpool there because we have the facilities to do it. It won't even cost us a penny because we own the stadium. And of course, Liverpool owners, I believe, are they baseball?
Yeah, they are baseball. But I think they've also got some sort of control in the New England Patriots, who are an NFL team as well. They're based in the Boston, Massachusetts area. They're based on that region. So I think they've also got some sort of stake in the Patriots. So they're an NFL team, so they would have stadium access as well.
W. Henry, I think his name was the guy.
Yeah, it's Vegan's right. It's the way football's going, sadly. Although I do get a hilarious vision of like St. Johnstone and Dundee United flying halfway across like Los Angeles or something like that, which would just be hilarity. This was actually floated years ago when Neil Lennon was in his first spell as Celtic manager. Dundee had American investors and they pitched the idea of Dundee versus Celtic in a league game, not a friendly.
I remember that.
Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field, which you'll know, David, was a stadium that recently hosted WrestleMania. And it's 70,000 people going to watch Dundee versus Celtic in Philadelphia. Just the very thought of it. I don't think the Dundee owners thought that through because it's like the stadium's just going to be filled with Celtic fans. Because I don't think there's going to be many Dundee fans out in America.
But would they have cared?
No, they wouldn't know because they would be deemed the home team. They would be deemed the home team in the game. Yep, so they would make all the money from it.
And don't forget, David, that Dundee this season have played 2 of the matches at 5:15. And when the Dundee owners got asked why he did this, he said it was to increase the market in America. So he's obviously trying this right now. So can you think about maybe 2 or 3 years down the line? He's going to be thinking of other ways to make money.
As a Celtic spokesperson here saying that they won't ever be an American overseas competition because of UEFA. I think you're right, Celtic spokesperson, but I think you need to remember we're not talking about a European competition, I'm talking about the Premiership, the Premier League and the FA. They would have to, it'd be up to them. I don't think it'd be up to UEFA. If they wanted to host a Premier League fixture overseas in America, like I say, at Jacksonville, Fulham versus Liverpool or Fulham versus whoever, I don't think UEFA would be able to stand in their way. And if it became a success, more clubs, like I said, Liverpool, they have facilities that they could use. And Chelsea, they all have facilities over there. If it becomes successful, I can't see why then Celtic, who know they've got a large fan base over in the States, couldn't try and figure out a way to do it as well to help. And like I said, Neil Doncaster, if he's looking to make more money for the SPFL, I don't think he would stand in the way either. But this is all speculation. We don't really know if it would ever happen. It was a big talking point on TalkSport that I felt they were missing. When they were talking about home advantages and stuff, I thought Fulham could technically say that that's a home advantage for there. I don't know how many Jacksonville Jaguar fans give a shit about Fulham, but I just felt like, well, there is facilities there. And I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that it could happen. And that, like I said, Celtic Rangers certainly would want to try and.
I think Spain announced, the La Liga announced that they're doing a round of fixtures next season. It's going to be abroad. Yeah,
El Clasico,
and El Clasico, Barcelona and Real Madrid abroad, and it's like
a lot of Spanish over in the States, though. So I mean,
so it's happening. Sadly, it's just the way it's going. Where it's going to come down to fan power, I think, at the end of the day, overruling. Like we saw how they reacted in England to the European Super League and how it went down about the idea of Celtic and Rangers playing a friendly in Australia. I think fans are going to have to make their voices heard because, but in today, money talks, and this football is a business nowadays, and hopefully we're a good while off of it, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see competitive games getting played in other countries, which is doing season ticket holders out of a game potentially. It's not ideal certainly, but the club, these guys are ruthless. These businessmen that run football clubs, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it is a worry that we head that way.
Absolutely. Well, we'll call it a day there because we've been on for around 5 minutes, and I think that's a good place to stop. Of course, there'll be plenty to build up to the Derby game next week. Like I said, we'll be looking forward to that. Boyce is still on his holidays, but he'll be back soon. So we'll just play it by ear, Phil, in terms of what shows are on this week. I'm sure the TNF will be on it.
Yeah, TNF and Friday feeling will definitely. And I know that Connor's going to record Carpool, or as I said last night, Carmageddon. I think so. Should have been the name we should have went with, definitely. Although Terry said Car Crash. Be that what you will. But yeah, he's definitely recorded one of them, so that'll definitely
be content. There'll be plenty of content.
It's there's a rather big game on yonder horizon. Let's be honest, we need to be looking ahead to that. So it's going to be a busy week, I think.
I'm going to go early on my prediction, David. I'll say 2-0. 2-0 Celtic.
Oh, already? He's getting in there with the prediction right now.
Yeah, I think we'll score a couple of goals as well. I'll never rule out them scoring a goal just because the penalties and whatnot. So I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going to say 3-1, but the game will be done before they get their goal. And I think Kyogo will get a couple as well. So,
good stuff.
But Phil, you keep hold of your prediction till Friday. Feel
like yeah. I'll be doing Friday feeling with Liam, and maybe Mike will be back on as well this week on Friday. But yeah, I'll save it for then. The night before, the
nerves.
Make sure you tune in for that, then, folks.
Indeed.
So we'll let you go. Have a good Sunday, guys, and get those Kelly pies. Oh, sorry, piesports.com. Get those pies in. But if you don't have any of them, if you've got any Kelly pies, get them in, and hopefully come on and get the job done today. But we shall. I doubt it, but anyway, have a good Sunday, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Right, catch you later, guys. See you.
See you later, guys.